What's up, guys? We're back at it again with another ChatGPT and WordPress video. In this one, we're going to build out this front page template that you're looking at right here. This is something that I already had all done in static HTML and CSS, and I used ChatGPT to convert it into a WordPress template. And I have to say, I don't even know how it does what it does. This kind of blew me away. I wasn't expecting the results that I got to be as good as they were, and for this to be as easy as it was to build out. I can't even believe how much it could speed some things up. So let's take a quick look at what we're going to be building here before we really get into the code. So this is a pretty basic homepage. On the left, we have a logo. On the right, we have a menu. Right here, we have a featured post. On the right, we have some new posts. And then across the bottom, we have 3 more posts. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So the first thing I want to do is actually jump back into ChatGPT and see if we can have it upgrade the header PHP file. I really need it to have the logo and also have the navigation menu. Right now, our header file looks like this. It doesn't even have any HTML. It just stops at the body tag. So let's see what we can have ChatGPT do for us here. Okay, so I'm going to give ChatGPT a prompt and say, can you update the header file to include a logo and navigation menu? Okay, so our response is finished. Let's see what it gave us. It definitely gave us a lot more in our header file. I'm going to copy this first and paste it over here and save it, and then we can kind of review what it gave us. So let's see what it says down here. In the above example, the has custom logo function is used to check if a custom logo has been set in WordPress. If it's been set, it displays it using the custom logo function. And that's something that it actually added for us in the functions file, so that should work. The WP Nav menu function is used to display the navigation menu that we registered in functions PHP. This is, again, something it added when I asked it to just upgrade functions file for me, and it gives some other information about how we can use that. And at the bottom, it says we can customize the HTML structure to use the classes that we want and that type of thing. But for now, I think I'm going to call this starter theme that we've been working on done. I mean, this is pretty solid. This is something that I think we can work with. So the next step is that we really need to add some content in the back end of WordPress. If we just keep going with the code, there's no way we're ever going to get anything that looks like this because we don't have any posts, we don't have any images, we don't have the logo. So I'm going to jump into the back end of WordPress. And the first thing I want to do is add a couple plugins that we're going to need. And once I do that, I'm going to add all the content, but I'm just going to skip through the content edition part. But I do have 2 plugins that I want to use. The first one's going to be the Classic Editor plugin, which, shocker, is all the way at the top. This disables Gutenberg, and I am not a fan of Gutenberg at all. I think it's the worst thing that WordPress ever did. So I pretty much install this on every site if possible. If you're a Gutenberg fan, I'm sorry. You can unsubscribe if you want, leave the video. I don't know what to tell you, but Gutenberg is not for me. And this is a safe Gutenberg free zone. So we're going to turn that on. And the next plugin I want to install is Advanced Custom Fields. I pretty much use this on every WordPress build. It really makes it super easy to add any kind of custom fields you might need. And I know we're going to need at least one for that mobile image that we need for the featured image. The one I showed you right here, when you scale down in mobile and it changes, that's not something that WordPress is going to handle out of the box. So we're going to go ahead and activate this plugin. Okay, so I actually ran into an issue when adding the content. There's a few SVG images and WordPress out of the box will not let me upload them. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me a function that will allow SVG uploads in the media library and see if it gives me that. Okay, so ChatGPT gave me this code here that should allow SVG images. I'm going to paste that into our functions file. I just wanted to make sure everybody saw what I did here, so it wasn't just some magic that happened. Okay, so that's all done. I added a bunch of content to the back end to match what we needed for this design here. So let's take a quick look at what I did. I added our 7 posts here, and I made use of tags. That way we can tell which one we want to be featured and which ones we want to be the numbered posts that show up at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this featured one so I can show you what I did with that mobile image. I added an Advanced Custom Fields image field here, and I named it Mobile Featured Image. That way we can make use of that in the theme. And the way I did that was going into this custom field section, which that Advanced Custom Fields plugin adds. And I clicked Add New Group, and I made this Featured Image Options group. And within that, I made a Mobile Featured Image field that has a label and this field name, Mobile Featured Image. So now we can jump into the code. And what I did here was I made this static assets folder, and inside here is all the files from that static website that I've been showing you guys. We're going to take some of this stuff and copy and paste it into our theme. instead of asking ChatGPT, some of this stuff's super simple. So we're just going to use a couple brain cells here and do some copy pasting. So our style CSS file, we're going to copy everything in there and paste it into this style CSS file. And next I want to do the same thing with my JavaScript file. And I know they added a function for us in here where it loads a JavaScript file. Okay, it's in js/theme.js. So I need to make that folder real quick. And the file. And spell it correctly or it's not going to load. And here we go. We got this file. And I'm going to go into our static assets, grab the script.js from here, copy it, and paste it in here. Let's go refresh. Actually, we didn't do this yet. Let's refresh our page and see what we have. So we don't have much, but we can see that all that content's being output, our logos here, and our navigation's here. So there's a lot more than there was before, but we have a lot of work to do still. So let's jump back into the code. And the next thing I want to do is take a look at our index.html file from that static website. We need a way to copy basically all of this stuff into our theme. And I think ChatGPT will be able to help us with some of this. So I think rather than try to get ChatGPT to like do all of this at once, let's kind of take it piece by piece. So let's start with our header here and compare it to what's in our theme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this code into our header PHP file. And we can kind of see the difference here. We definitely have very different classes on here compared to what we got from ChatGPT that we're going to need to update. And it did tell us we would have to update that stuff when it gave us the code. But I want to see if it can do it for us. But I wonder if I can copy this HTML into ChatGPT and ask it to update the theme based on this. If it can't, then we'll try to do a different way. I don't even know if this will work, so let's check it out. Okay, so what I did was I asked it if it could update the header PHP file based on the HTML below, and I pasted in all that HTML from our static website. All right, so I got my response, and this is kind of shocking, the result I got here. I didn't even know that this would work at all, and it really did a good job here. It checks to see if there's a custom logo. If there is, it outputs it, and if there's not, it outputs a logo based on the HTML that I gave it, like looking for it in the folder. So that's pretty cool. It also updated all these classes and HTML structure based on exactly what I gave it. It added our toggle menu. It added our wrappers around the navigation, and it updated the WP nav menu function so that it has everything that we need here so that it doesn't output extra stuff. So this is like exactly what we need. I am kind of blown away by this. So I'm going to copy and paste this into our header, and we're going to just get rid of all this other code. Save this, and let's check out the site and see what we got here. See what kind of update we have. Cool, so our header looks a lot better. It's actually pulling in the CSS correctly now since all the classes are right. So this is awesome. And like, I'm honestly, like I said, I'm blown away by this. I did not expect it to be that good and just kind of do exactly what I needed it to do. So this is kind of crazy. Let's move on to the footer. I don't want to mess with the main template part yet. I can't even imagine what it's going to give me. So let's go to the footer. That's going to be simple. And then we'll get into like the meat and potatoes of this with the front page template. This is insane. Okay, so here's our footer file. It's pretty much empty. And we really don't have much in here either, but I'm just going to copy this. And we're going to put it in ChatGPT the same way I did for the header. I'm going to ask it, hey, can you update the footer to match this HTML below? And let's see what we get. Okay, cool. So this gave me exactly what I wanted, and I didn't expect it not to based on what it did for the header. Somehow it even knew that this was a challenge. If you read the script here, it says it's displaying the attribution of the challenge. I think it actually knows what front-end IO is. So that's kind of crazy as well. Let's go ahead and pop this code in here. All right, cool. So that's done. I don't even want to really mess with this index HTML file. I want to leave this the way it is. Okay, so let's see if ChatGPT can do anything with this whole main content area. I kind of want to paste the whole thing in there because of how good it's been at everything else, but I know this is pretty complicated. I'm just going to go for it and see what we get. So let's just full send and see what happens. Okay, so we got a response, and this was not as great as the last one. It tried, but I really didn't expect much here. I mean, I gave it a lot and gave it no instruction really. I said, hey, can you make me a front page template based on this HTML, and I pasted it in this giant wall of HTML, and it gave me a front page template. It did. It loads the header, loads the footer. But as far as the HTML that it actually put in here goes, for the most part, it just kind of gave it what I put in, and it updated things like images to pull from the template directory, which is not really what I wanted. I would have liked it to pull this, obviously, from the posts that I created, but I didn't tell it to do that. I really just wanted to see if it would figure it out on its own, and it didn't. So what I'm going to do now is kind of try and do this section by section, but give it more instruction and see if I can make it do what I want it to do. So before I move forward with trying to get more code out of here, I do want to make a front page template just so we have it ready to go. So that's all we really got out of this that was useful. I think we're going to get a lot more. We just need to work with it. Next step is that I'm going to copy all of this HTML from here and pop it into that front page template just so I have something to look at without messing around in this static file anymore. So let me go ahead and do that. So let's work on getting this featured image section. And actually this is sort of two sections in one, but I want to focus on just this inner part. And I want to actually update what I put in here and see if this will be helpful. So what if I say, instead of this actual like real page title that's in here, let's just say the post title. And let's not put we'll put the. And here we're going to put the post excerpt. And see. So if we do stuff like this, again, we need to spell things right here. I'm really struggling with this today. I don't know what the deal is. And in here we can leave this as read more. I think in all these links, maybe we'll put post link or something. I don't want to put exactly what the function names are because I think that's kind of cheating. What if you didn't know? So I'm just going to write post link here. Post link. And here we can put, I'm going to put featured image. And I'm going to leave the mobile one alone because that's going to need some separate care. I mean, I used advanced custom fields for that. I think we can probably have ChatGPT help us with it, but I don't want to do it all at once. So let's copy and paste this code into ChatGPT. And we also know that that post I made, the featured post, I gave it a tag. I tagged it featured. So I'm going to give ChatGPT all this information that it would need to figure out what to do with this aside from the mobile image and see if it can do it right this time. Okay, so we got a response and this looks way better. This looks good. I kind of watched it as I was reading it out. I do want to give a quick glance at the explanation it gave. So the WP query class takes an array of parameters. Query the WordPress database for posts. In this example, we're using the tag parameter for posts with the tag featured, which is what I asked it for. And it has parameters for post per page, order by, and order parameters to get the most recent post. Within the loop, we use the following template tags to display the post data. So we're getting the thumbnail URL, and it actually updated it and pulled in the large one and the smaller one within that picture element because I didn't tell it that we use an ACF field for that. So that's actually pretty cool. That's not what we need for our purposes, but it recognized that there were two different sizes in there and it even knew which one was a smaller one. So this is insane. This is good. The only thing that's kind of annoying is when you get a long response, it cuts off when you have to type in continue. And then when it spits it back out of its code, a lot of times you don't have that wrapper around it. So I have this weird stuff at the bottom. That's no big deal. Let's copy and paste all of this back in. This is crazy. I'm kind of blown away by this. So we're going to replace all this code here. And this should do good. This should work. And I do need to grab that extra little piece of code that was at the bottom that we kind of missed. I think it was down here. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's save that. And we're going to go back to our website and refresh it to make sure that we didn't get any errors or anything because I've just been copy and pasting stuff in here. So I didn't actually assign this template to the page, so nothing changed. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to jump into the backend of WordPress and we're going to go to pages. Click on, we don't even have a home page. So let's do that real quick. I'll add a home page. I kind of forgot to do this earlier and we'll publish it. We will set the default template to front page, update it. We need to go to settings and then reading, I believe it is, and say, let's use a static homepage. select homepage, save our changes, and let's go back to the front end, and we should have, and this is already looking really good. This looks really close to our static page. I mean, it's missing a few things that we haven't added yet, but if you compare it, I mean, you know, we're getting there. So this is the part that we actually updated to pull in from WordPress. And we can see this links to the single post. We can click on it and it takes us here. Now it loads from the index. So this all works, and it is, let's confirm this is pulling an image from WordPress, right? Yep, it's pulling it from the starter theme. So we're looking good here. We do have an error here. This is because Xdebug set up in my local environment. It's not really a big deal. It's a warning, not an error. Okay, so I've disabled those errors. We can see they're gone now. That was just kind of an annoying thing I needed to get rid of. So the next thing I want to do is update this sidebar. And I imagine we're going to get very similar results if I go in there and change all this text so it just says like title and excerpt. The difference here is that this actually shows 3 posts, not just 1. So I'm wondering if I can just update the first one and if it'll figure out what to do. So I'm going to try that. That would be cool. So we don't have to do it 3 times. So I'm going to go down here and we're going to change this link to post link. We're going to change the title to post title. And we're going to change the excerpt to post excerpt. And I'm just going to paste this whole section in and see what we get. So let's go. Okay, so we have our response, and let's kind of give their explanation a little bit of a look again. So we use WP query just like the last time. And again, it resets the post data. And at the bottom, it says this should be placed within a template file where you want to display the 3 most recent posts, which we already know because we copied that out of our template file. So let's go up and see what we got. Nice, it didn't have to split this up. So we should be able to copy and paste this right to where it goes. And it did exactly what I hoped it did. It got rid of those extra 2 posts, and we just have the 1 inside this loop. So this looks good to me. Let's roll with it and paste it in here. Fix up the tabbing a little bit. Had an auto tabber on here and it drove me nuts, so I turned it off. And let's go back and refresh our page and see what we have now. Nothing changed, which is a good thing. And yeah, we're linking to these posts now. So everything with this looks like exactly what we needed again. This is crazy. This is awesome. Definitely could be a time saver, especially if you're new to WordPress. Ridiculous. Like, I can't even believe it can do this. Let's go ahead down to this numbered section, and we're going to do the same kind of thing we did for that sidebar, except this time we need to tell it to pull from that numbered tag, kind of like we did for the featured image. So let's go into our code and update this just like we've been doing, and I can't imagine we're going to get a bad response here. Let's go. So in the image source, I'm just going to write featured image. I guess I could probably even feed it a size here if I want this to be a certain size, but for now, we'll leave it as is. And for this, we'll put the title, post link, and post excerpt. And again, we are having some spelling issues today. Alrighty, and I'm just going to copy the whole section in there. And let's get our code. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be bad this time. Let's go. Let's see what we got. Okay, so we have a response. Let's give it a quick review. And one thing I forgot to mention that I did ask it to do specifically was to give us the article number with a leading 0 inside that article num span. And it looks like it did that for us. So let's check it out. Pretty much all the same stuff it's been telling us. And then at the bottom, it says they used a variable I to keep track of the order of the articles, and it displayed them in this article num span exactly like I asked it to do. So let's go ahead and copy and paste this code into our theme. And we'll give it a quick look and make sure it all works, which I can't imagine it won't. So let's take a look here. And yeah, so pulling from that number tag, we have our code in here that runs our counter, so it should display 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's take a look at the front end, and we have what we need. This matches pretty much exactly to what our static website was. The only difference is the footer. We'll take a look at that in a minute, but I mean, this is insane. I can't believe this worked so well. I bet I could have did this in about 5 minutes if I wasn't recording. And it wouldn't have taken a ton of time to do it manually either. But if you were like a little bit unfamiliar with WordPress, this could have taken you like an hour or a few hours if you're, you know, like I said, a WordPress newbie. And you could probably figure this out with ChatGPT in about half hour, I would think, if you're new. So this is insane. My mind's kind of blown, and let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, but we're going to take a look at this footer section real quick and make sure that we didn't mess something up there. I don't know why that's goofy. And then we'll review the responsive to make sure all that stuff works as well. So let's open up our footer file and take a look at it. I don't see anything wrong here. Let's take a look at the index, and oh, this is why they had styles in here at the top. This is just something that Frontend IO gives you. So I don't care. The footer is good in my eyes. Let's give a quick review on responsive and make sure that all still works. I don't know why it wouldn't. And as long as a JavaScript file loaded. Oh, okay, so we do have maybe an issue here. This looks a little weird on responsive. I don't see the button. I can click it, but I don't see it. Okay, so the issue there is the image isn't loading. And that's probably a CSS thing, I think. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. I believe it's just a path because we're loading those images from CSS. Let's see here. SVGs, I believe they are. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're pulling from assets, images, icon menu, SVG. We need to pull these from WordPress now. This is going to be kind of goofy, but I'm just going to use the full URL from the back end of WordPress. This has been probably the right way to do this, but it should work for what we need to do. So I'm going to go into our media library because I did upload all these files, and I'm just going to copy this URL into the clipboard and update it in here. And we'll do the same thing for the close image. Refresh it, and we'll open up our dev tools so we can go responsive mode. Okay, so that fixed our issue with the icon. We see our menu icon. We see our close icon. Our mobile menu works fine. We do still have this issue with the mobile image though. I kind of forgot about this, but this was from that ACF field that we added. So let's see if we can have ChatGPT update that for us. And I first want to scroll to the bottom and make sure everything else looks good. And it does. So we're going to go ahead and update this image now. Jump back into our code here for that front page and scroll up to our featured image section. Okay, so we can see we are pulling in our post thumbnail twice here. It's pulling in the large size for the desktop. I'm going to change it to full because I don't need it to crop. I uploaded it at the correct size. And this is the one we want to change, the mobile. So let me copy this code in here. I'm just going to copy this one line since we know what needs to change. And we're going to ask ChatGPT to update it. All right, we got our response and it looks like it's correct. And it gave us a little explanation. So it does know what advanced custom field is and it understands it. So it says this code uses the field function from advanced custom fields plugin to retrieve the value of the custom field mobile featured image and displays it in the SRC attribute of the image. And then it gives some more information about where you might want to put it and that type of thing, but we already know that. So let's copy this code and pop it in here. Give our website one more review on mobile, and there's our mobile image that worked. Scroll it back up, and there's our full size. So this did a great job in my opinion. I can't even believe how well this worked. This didn't really take long at all, and I was kind of figuring it out along the way. Knowing what I know now, if I wanted to build out a custom template like this, I would just from the start write in things like post title, link, instead of putting in content. And when I feed it in, I could probably just put the entire HTML in there and it would just work. And I'm going to be making a lot more content like this because this is insane. I'm thinking about maybe doing a plugin, see what it can do with that. So stick around, subscribe, give my video a like if you want to see what I do next with this.